Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Confessions of a Fitness Manager. My name is Staci Alden, and I'm here with,
Hi, everyone. My name is Jessica Rogers. Thank you for joining us today.
and we are so excited to begin talking about January. We're recording this episode at the time of October, and so it may seem early to be thinking about January, but it is definitely not. So we're going to talk about some of the ways to prepare your department, your team for January. What are some things we like to do in the months leading up to January, maybe those holiday months, to make the most of that time? And then what are some things that we like to do to prepare basically January and beyond for the next year? So before we begin, we always bring up what we are consuming as far as a beverage goes. Mine is less entertaining because I am 9 months pregnant at this moment. I can't believe it's 9 months too, which is
You are like just days away from your due date.
literally any minute. So I could log off and you'll know why. I'm peace out. But I'm drinking lemon water, and you can never drink enough water while you're pregnant. Jessica, what are you drinking?
Well, I am not 9 months pregnant, Stacey, so I am enjoying a lovely glass of rosé.
And that is something I know I'm going to look forward to after baby comes. That is going to be wonderful.
I will get
A
you
share of
all the
rosé.
rosé you want after baby
Yeah,
comes.
we've had our share of rosé together, so we've, we've had plenty of times we've had our rosé. So back to preparing for January. The first question I wanted us to address is, what are the things that you like to do when it comes to kind of organization or like fine tuning things before January? What do you like to do?
So that's a great question. So one thing that I've learned over the years is that any changes that go into your department, into your facility, into your team don't just happen overnight. They're typically months in the making. And as we know, January coincides with a new year, new start. So a lot of changes happen in January. So the fall is actually a really great time to start preparing for whatever changes you want to launch in January. So, for example, at my facility, last January, we implemented a policy where we had a class minimum for all group fitness classes. So, because we have so many of our members who come in specifically for group fitness, we wanted to give them time to adjust to this. And with that, we wanted to also give them time where if they did not want to abide by this policy, they have the option to cancel their membership without any consequences. And in our club, it's a 30-day cancellation, which is pretty normal amongst most facilities. So if we want to implement a change, then we want to let them know by December 1st so they could cancel. They would have the option to cancel by January 1st if the policy doesn't work for them. So that means that the discussion for a policy change would have to start really earlier than even November. So one thing that we like to think about, especially in like the late summer, early fall, is what's working in our team and our facility, what's not working, what needs to change, because we know whatever changes, especially if it's a big policy change, is not going to happen overnight. So now is the time, now that we're recording in October, the discussions with myself and my team members and my upper management are definitely being held. So that way, if we're going to change anything else January 1st, then we'll let them know probably right around Thanksgiving.
I love it. I love it so much. So Jessica brings up all the points of like great preparation for what's changing for your team and your potential whole entire club. And
Mm-hmm.
in the previous last episodes, more recently, we've talked about communication with your team. So a lot of that, especially with those changes, has to begin being talked about now because there's a lot to be said when it comes to those changes, and making sure everyone's understanding everything is huge. So something
Definitely.
I also like to do during this time of kind of pre-holiday season, like mid fall, late fall into winter, is to get yourself as organized as possible. Especially as a manager, there might be times where it's a little bit slower. There's a lot of upper management that's out of the office. It's a great opportunity to go into the fitness closets.
Oh
Go
my goodness.
Yes. I always loved taking before and after pictures when me and Jessica would just like go into the group fitness closet, open it up. We had this huge closet that would have like basically barn doors, or like not barn doors, like French doors that we could like open up, just pull everything out, organize things
Hmm.
in different boxes, like get rid of equipment, get rid of things, because we were partially hoarders. There were times where I was like, why is this still in the closet?
Stacy, real quick, can I quickly butt
Yes.
in? So just so you know, myself and one of my team members went through one of our closets, our storage closets, and we found a box of ankle weights with a receipt date from 1998.
Oh my
No idea
God.
that these were here. So yes, that is a great time to start. Like January-ish is a great time to start thinking about the storage closets. Otherwise, you're going to find a box of unused dusty ankle weights from 1998.
Yeah, get
Sorry,
in there.
I just had to throw that in there.
That is hilarious. I love those stories. So yeah, get in there, clean it up, get organized, and it'll feel so good to have that done. Um, Another place to organize is maybe your office. Like start looking through some folders, making sure is all that paperwork that's laying on your desk or around you necessary. How organized can you get? And then also your email. So I know sometimes I log into my email and I have flagged my system personally is I flag emails that I need to respond to, but I may not need to do it in real time right then. That helps me remember to respond. And then I like to create folders and move things out of my inbox. So my inbox doesn't have 800 emails in it because that's just asking to either miss an email or get lost. So, or have that information get lost. So go into your email and organize it so that you can maybe get to the point where your inbox is maybe as close to empty as possible, because January, as we know, is the time when people are going to be calling you and emailing you like endlessly about the new programs or even the policy changes that Jessica talked about. So you're going to want to be as cleaned and organized as possible. Um, Next question for Jessica I have is, what are some things you like to do in the months leading up to January to either get, current members engaged or to get your team prepared for January?
So one thing we've done over the past 2 years with my personal training team, we've had something we called the 12 days of fitness, which has been really fun. And what that is we encourage and we start preparing and marketing this probably like early November, that for any member who purchases a 12 pack of personal training sessions from Thanksgiving to December 1st, and then uses all of their sessions in December. So they use all 12 personal training sessions from December 1st to December 31st. They then get a credit on their account in January. So it's a great incentive for members to actually purchase a 12 pack. Sometimes they just do a smaller package or they might be traveling. And so it's a great incentive to really hold them accountable in the holidays, because we know it's really easy to drop off in the holidays or like families in town, things get crazy. It gets really cold, or at least it does where I am in Chicago. Winter time is no joke. So it's really easy to stay at home versus traveling outside to go to a facility. And having the 12 pack in December also gives the trainers kind of guaranteed pay, because they know if they have clients who are purchasing the 12 pack, they're also going to see these clients for 12 sessions in the month, and hopefully they can get more than one of their clients to purchase these packages, so it can give them more income for the holiday season.
That's awesome. And I think that this actually veers right into what I was going to talk about is that helps keep your members engaged, which also supports your team. And then in the months leading up to January, we all see that. We see a big dip in attendance or a big dip in personal training sessions. So are there creative ways for you to support your team during that time and help them understand like this instead of making it like feel like a secret, like, oh, the
Mm-hmm.
club is, just quieter because it's the holidays. People can, if you just act like it's not even happening, then your team isn't going to be taking advantage of that time. Instead, you could say, hey, here's what's going to happen during the holidays. Your classes are going to be smaller. What new exercises, new programming have you been wanting to try in your class? This is the best time for you to try something new that it's going to kind of throw your current members or current clients off, because they're the ones who come all the time and they can give you the good feedback before you give those tests in January. Don't test anything new and throw a curveball to your classes in January when all of this influx of new people are coming in. Give it a chance right now. And then when it comes to personal training, helping support them through the great program example that Jessica shared, maybe you do something different, but showing them that you care by potentially talking to them about education. Here's some, share with them some resources. Here are some great links to articles or webinars or courses that I've found are valuable for you to digest during this time, that are either free or low cost, or maybe your gym is able to wheel and deal with whatever education it is. They can get a discount, or you can even support them in completing that education. So that, why not make them better or level up during this time that it is quieter, they're not seeing clients. Another thing too you could do that I'm just realizing is getting creative with potentially some digital content. So filming some classes or filming some tips with your personal trainers that you can launch and use in January to promote that trainer or promote that class. That content could be recorded now while things are quieter, and the facility is possibly, a little quieter, so you can get those things done.
I love that tip, Stacy, especially because in January we know there's a lot of prospective clients who start to look up, gyms near me or virtual training, and then right away having things pop up over here's how you use a rower, with featuring one of your trainers. That could be a really great opportunity to showcase the trainer, the instructor, and the facility.
Love it. Love it. Cool. So last, what are some of the things that you like to do when it comes to preparing for the actual months following January, potentially? So actually looking at the next year, what are the things you like to do to get ready for that?
So I think the biggest thing that I typically do, like around the end of December to prepare for the new year, is just looking at the first quarter and seeing like what holidays are coming up, seeing if there's any special events that we're planning as an overall club, that sort of thing. If I know like I'm taking a big vacation or anything like that, or any of my team members are, just being aware so I could start to plan for the first quarter. Like maybe if I'm looking at the first quarter schedule and I see like Valentine's Day, I'm going to think like, am I going to plan a Valentine's Day class for one of my classes or anything like that? So just kind of thinking ahead towards what events, what special activities are going to happen in the first quarter.
Love it. And similarly to that, thought is, I love that you kind of segmented into the first quarter, and you could go beyond that maybe. I love
Yeah.
holidays are so helpful. Like looking up holidays, because it's always a bummer when a holiday makes its way around and you're like, dang it, we kind of like capitalized on that, like Women's Health and Fitness
Yeah.
Day. So do some research on what holidays are happening. Maybe do some research on when breaks are going to be happening for
I was just going to
school.
say, yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
that's very much the same. I mean, by the time January happens, you've already gone through probably the biggest break of school systems that happens, which affects everyone. It's really interesting. I think even those who don't have kids, whenever there is a holiday that affects the hours of school, it still affects majority of the other people who work at
Mhm,
different places too. So
mhm,
I really think that is valuable. Similar to what Jessica said, thinking about maybe in the first quarter, or maybe in that next year, however far you can get ahead, about what workshops, what events, and what enrollment programs do you want to plan for those times. And then thinking back to the time management episode we just recorded a little while ago, is identifying when you can block off time in future months and what that time needs to look like. Like when do you need to start marketing the program? When do you need to start
mhm,
preparing the team to start that program? When you need to figure out who's going to teach that program? So getting clear on those goals for those offerings, and then
mhm.
potentially start thinking about your key performance indicators. What are some goals that you want to set for 2024, or whenever you're listening to this podcast in the future? You could be listening to this in 2031. What are you going to do in 2032? um, what are you going to do for the next year that's going to help you and your team succeed? And then what are some of your needs in order to accomplish those goals? So who do you need to hire? What systems need to be in place? And what preparation needs to happen for that to happen?
Mhm. Love it.
Anything else, Jessica, you can think of preparing for January?
No, the only thing that I could really think of is you and I had talked before we hit the record button about the
Yes.
fun team, what would we call it, team building events that we had at our
Yeah.
old health club.
Yeah.
We had for, I believe it was the month of December, or was it from Thanksgiving to New Year's?
I think it was December. I think it was like, it was similar to your 12 days of fitness. It was like 12 posts about fitness or something. I actually don't remember. I think it was just a comedic
So
fun thing we came
we
up with.
had, so Staci and I, if you are not used to listening to us, Staci and I, pre-COVID, used to work together at a private health club in the Seattle area. And I want to say this was 2018.
Yeah.
In December 2018, we got an elf on the shelf for our group fitness department. And we had like a whole naming ceremony, and we invited all of our instructors on our team, all 100 plus of them, to send in the name of what they want to name our elf on the shelf. And we named him Jimmy. Jimmy spelled Gymmie. And for the entire month of December, and what's crazy is the instructors loved it. Like they
Yeah.
were
And the
so into
members loved it too. They got so
it.
into it.
Everyone was so into it. So every day for a whole month, Jimmy would go visit a different part of the club, and Jimmy would take different classes, and we would post pictures of Jimmy and put it on our social media. So Jimmy would go to step class. Jimmy would go to TRX class. Jimmy would go to the cafe and get a smoothie. Jimmy would have to have his hand sanitized after using classes. So Jimmy had to work the hand sanitizer. And it was a huge hit. Everyone loved it. So
It's really
I'm kind
funny.
of bummed we didn't bring it back in 2019, but maybe we'll do a
Um,
virtual Jimmy one of these days.
exactly. I also remember we went as far as buying him special pajamas that were
Yes.
donut pajamas. And I think it the don't like even the shirt so the pants had donuts on them, and then the shirt said something like, I don't know, like in trouble or something. He's getting into trouble or something. And he had a donut on his shirt. I can't remember. But we also put him through some violence. There were times, so not only pictures, but just to get a rise out of
Video.
people, we would like. I think I connected him to a resistance band, pulled it as far as back as I could, and just let go, and he just went flying, and his hat flew off.
I'm pretty sure Jimmy like flew off the treadmill. In
Yes,
our I
yes,
remember
he
filming
did.
that one. Jimmy took a beating, but people loved it. So it brought our team together. It brought members to our classes. It brought members to our social media because everyone was like, what's Jimmy gonna do today?
Yeah,
It honestly, if you go to like our personal Instagram accounts and you do a real deep dive, you will probably see all kinds of videos of and pictures
yeah.
of Jimmy doing all
You
kinds of
might
crazy things.
you might see Jimmy. If I don't remember right, I don't know if it was that year or the year after, but we also did a video once where we recapped all of the craziness that happened in the year before. We had like a record number of pregnancies, a record number of
Yeah,
injuries, a record number of.
I remember
So we
that.
sang a song of the 12 days of Christmas, but it was to basically all the injuries and problems that happened. And it was like
Yeah,
the second day of Christmas, we had two pregnancies, and then we sang
yeah.
the song over and over again. It was hilarious.
Oh my
So
gosh, I remember that now. We have to
yeah,
find that song.
I
That
have
was
to
pretty
find that
epic. That was
video.
we had gosh, I don't even know how many injuries we had that year of
Yeah, I think
so
we
many
had
of our team members being out with injuries.
we had like 6 shoulder injuries. I think it was just the weirdest thing that it was things that in and out of classes. I don't think very many of them actually happened at the club, but they the astonishing part was the number, the sheer amount of the same injury. That was like the problem. But we had some good times, and we will continue
Yeah.
to have good times. That's why we have this podcast. But you could think about those things, as you get these ideas. Feel free to steal our ideas. We don't care. So take these ideas, run with them with your
That's why
team.
we're sharing.
Yeah. So, and then share with us maybe some fun things that you've done to kind of recap the year. Because I think, like you said, it engages members, it engages your team, and it's a celebratory time this end of the year because you're getting ready to get excited about the next year and a fresh start and something new. And then it's nice to kind of look back and do like a countdown with your team on what they accomplished or what are the things you overcame as a team. So good memories, Jessica. I've loved working
Good
with you
time.
for sure. Okay, well, that's all we have for you for preparing for January. As always, please like, subscribe, share your feedback, and then your thoughts and your experiences with being a fitness manager for these episodes. And we will come back to you most likely after my baby is born, and we'll record some new episodes for you. Well, I'll do my best to keep my house as quiet as possible in order for that to happen. But we'll be back to you in the new year to share with you even more thoughts and experiences to get you